Hey, what is going on, guys? So today we're going to be responding to a kind of debate which occurred on Good Morning Britain between a vegan PETA representative and an animal farmer. A lot of extremely silly things were said during this segment, so I don't think I'll be covering all of it, because if I did, this video would probably be like 40 to 50 minutes, but we'll cover the bulk of it and what I think is most important to cover. This segment was posted on YouTube, and I want to go over what the title of the segment was. The title was, "Should Vegans Leave Christmas Alone?" Now, I find this title extremely representative of just how disconnected people are from animal rights. Though it is just a title, there are many people who do think that vegans should just blanketly leave Christmas alone. I sarcastically retweeted a picture of the title and said, this is a tough one. Let's really think about this. What is more important? Preventing animals' rights from being violated, or upholding people's desire to celebrate a holiday at the expense of animals' rights being violated? Now, to any vegans or animal rights people watching this, I'm sure you get the point of how ridiculous this question even is, but let's really break it down. Vegans are concerned that animals like turkeys will not be left alone during Christmas. So we're over here like, hey, it would be really cool if you just didn't violate the rights of a turkey this year for Christmas. You know, leave them alone. And there are people who believe that vegans should leave people alone during Christmas and allow them to not leave turkeys alone during Christmas. Just imagine a person is about to kill a dog for some exotic Christmas dog meal, and you said, hey, you need to leave that dog alone. And the person about to kill the dog was like, hey, leave me alone and let me not leave this dog alone. This is how bizarre titles like this look to people who have an interest in preserving animal rights. Let's also keep in mind that animal products are not a necessary entailment of Christmas. You can have a vegan version of pretty much everything nowadays. So perhaps it would be more reasonable to say that vegans are not attacking Christmas per se. We're just attacking variations of Christmas, which entail breeding, exploiting, and attacking animals such as turkeys with the intent of killing them. In other words, we're attacking a variation of a tradition which is attacking others. This doesn't seem too controversial, right? Like, if this was happening with dogs or with humans or with cats, we would defend the victims of the attackers who are celebrating Christmas and consuming their flesh and killing them in order to celebrate their holiday. Anyway, let's give the clip a listen.
We're joined now by Jennifer White from PETA, who says, there are so many vegan alternatives, there is no need to sacrifice millions of turkeys.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. Of course, this message is geared toward people who are in developed countries who can afford alternatives to what they would normally consume during Christmas, which entails the rights violations of animals. I'm not too sure what's controversial about this message, but let's keep going. It gets a little worse.
As Mark says, I don't preach to vegans that they should eat meat. So why are they preaching to me to not eat meat? I'm very much looking forward to my beef and turkey. And that's one of the things that you constantly come up against is, if you want to be vegan, if you want to be vegetarian, that's absolutely right. That's your choice. But don't make us feel guilty about the fact that we don't want to be doing that.
Well, first, I am not making you feel guilty. As I said, if that's how you're feeling, you need to address that.
Don't you think that there's part of that advert is to try and make people feel a little bit guilty?
So if you guys don't know, what this whole segment is based on is this PETA advert that was designed to help people understand that they should not consume turkeys during Christmas or buy turkey corpses for Christmas, because turkeys don't want to be stabbed in the throat for the celebration of Christmas. Now, to answer the question about the advert and whether it's designed to induce guilt in people, I mean, it may be designed to guilt people, but I don't see what's wrong with doing this if the advert is accurately representing what these people are supporting, which it is. It's reminding people that their decision to have a turkey for Thanksgiving entails ending the lives of turkeys. If there is a massive atrocity that many people are supporting, and this atrocity is so bad that when met with the reality of it, people feel guilty, I see no issue with persuading people to not support the atrocity with an accurate depiction of what they support when they support it. The phrase guilt tripping or intentionally trying to make somebody feel guilty about an action they are committing tends to have a very negative connotation, but I see no issue with using tactics like this in order to persuade somebody to stop committing an action which they deep down feel bad about and know they shouldn't be supporting. Their feeling bad about supporting such an atrocity is an indicator that their moral system is not in agreement with supporting this atrocity, meaning that guilt tripping these people may actually facilitate them living more in alignment with their own moral system. What exactly is wrong with that? I'm not sure.
What we're doing, we are not telling people what decisions to make, but we are helping people make informed choices. And this video is helping people to join the dots. We also have hours of animal cruelty footage from British farms, which shows the reality for these animals. And if you cannot sit down and stomach watching that for more than a few seconds, then you should not be buying animal flesh.
Well, it's interesting. I don't eat turkey. I don't eat meat. But that cartoon video isn't really enlightening anybody, is it? It's very deliberately a guilt trip. You know, it's making the turkey a cute little character.
Now, I'm not sure what this lady means when she says, is this ad really enlightening anybody? Like, what does she mean by the word enlightening? The advert does a great job of reminding people that turkeys are individuals and not just inanimate objects. I would call that a form of enlightenment in my view. She also just repeated the whole, it's very deliberately a guilt trip type of rhetoric, which I mean, yeah, sure, let's call it a guilt trip. I don't want to repeat myself, but I don't see what is wrong with guilt tripping people by reminding them that their decision to have a turkey during Christmas is a decision which entails treating individual sentient beings like property only to be exploited and killed. And Jennifer White, the vegan PETA rep in the segment, does a very good job of justifying the purpose of the advert. Just have a listen.
Toby represents 10 million turkeys who are slaughtered at Christmas time alone in the UK. And if we're honest with ourselves, there is a disconnect here. We are celebrating the season of peace and goodwill with the corpse of a tortured bird in the middle of the table.
Amazingly put. Now, what you're going to see next is the animal farmer try to give her rebut. And it really seems like these meat eaters nowadays are just glitching when it comes to the word food chain. You'll see it just comes out of nowhere toward the end.
What your response would be, well, never mind save the turkeys, save the farmers. Is that what you're worried about?
It's about everyone's food and the food chain. You know, if we don't farm animals, then we don't have the soil that we need and the fertilizer that we need. It's the food chain.
All right, so we'll talk about the food chain part in a second, but first off, the whole fertilizer thing is just completely false. To say that if we don't farm animals, we won't have fertilizer is just a false claim. We don't need animals to have fertilizer. There are animal-free fertilizers like nitrogen-enriched fertilizers. And did you catch how the word food chain just came out of nowhere toward the end? She said, it's about everyone's food and the food chain. If we don't farm animals, we don't have the soil that we need and fertilizer we need. It's the food chain. It's like the words food and chain have become this noise that meat eaters just use without even thinking. And it's not even like used as a set of words. It's just like a noise, food chain. And they hope that it somehow sticks and supports their argument. We can have a food chain that doesn't involve breeding, exploiting, and murdering turkeys. There was this crazy thing called eating plants. Very bizarre, I know. But yeah, as it turns out, humans can survive and thrive without eating turkey, let alone animals. Also, food chain.
And if we all care about the environment and feeding our people, specifically, you know, especially when there's war right now and food is really under, it's under a lot of risk and it's shrinking globally. So we need to eat food that's locally produced and is sustainable. And food which comes from an animal is sustainable. They turn grass into protein. It's healthier for us.
All right, so she says that we need to consume foods that are local and sustainable, but it's already known that the degree to which a food item is local is far less indicative of its environmental impact than the actual nature of the food. She also called beef healthier for us. She used the word healthier, which is a referential term. So I don't know what she's actually comparing beef to when she says the term healthier, but we have substitution analyses looking at what happens when you replace foods like red meat with other plant-based foods, and the plant-based foods tend to come out on top. And the point about if turkeys weren't farmed, they wouldn't be here. I mean, I'm genuinely tired of hearing this. This is like the big thing that I've been hearing this year, that, oh my God, vegans don't care about these species because if we didn't breed them to eat them, they wouldn't even exist. Now, first of all, it's not even totally clear that if we stop consuming these animals, they would no longer exist. There's other means by which these animals can reproduce besides humans just intervening. Secondly, even if that were the case, why would we want a species to exist if the only way for them to exist is for them to be perpetually exploited, commodified, and murdered over and over and over? If there was an alien species that was dominating the human race and they were keeping us alive in Holocaust-like conditions and just killing us over and over, and there was obviously a net positive in death because of this and suffering, why would we prefer to exist than to not? Obviously, existing per se is not valuable. If your existence is terrible, then you're not going to want to exist. And if there was an alien species that was farming us and killing us after having a, quote, happy life, but also, killing us prematurely, just as we do with animals, would we consider it justified for them to continuously do this to us because the alternative is us not existing? I don't think so. There'd be tons of human rights violations occurring if this were to be allowed.
And so it all fits together. And if we focused on the end of a life of anything, a dog or even people that we love, of course, you'd end up, if we didn't farm animals, there wouldn't be any turkeys.
But you can't compare, we can't compare a family pet to mass-produced,
But we are in
mass-farmed
this
turkeys.
video.
Yeah.
We are. And that's the problem. And, you know, yes, you know, we farm animals, and it is sad on the day that the animals go out. We feel sad. We love our animals. But if we didn't farm them, they wouldn't exist. And they have a job to do, you know, and there's lots of byproducts that come from those animals.
All right, so she admits that it's a sad day to see the animals go. And also, just note the euphemisms here. She says, see the animals go, when really what's happening is we're sending them to the slaughterhouse to be murdered, but anyway. And then she says, we love our animals. I don't know how you can love an animal that you have prematurely murdered for profit. Doesn't sound like love, really. I mean, if you truly love them, you wouldn't be like, hey, you know what, you have so much of your life to live, but, you know, we have to kill you because we need some money and we need to, you know, make some profit off of your corpse. Doesn't really sound like love. I don't think that many dog caretakers or cat caretakers would be considered animal lovers or lovers of their cat and dog if they were to have their dog and cat prematurely murdered for flesh so they can make money. Then she says the whole, if we didn't farm them, they wouldn't exist thing. We've already covered that. She then says they have a job to do. The job is obviously imposed upon them by the people breeding them and, you know, the farmers. So when you say they have a job to do, they don't really have a job to do in any sense outside of their confinement by you. So how about you just not impose this job on them so they don't have to end up being killed prematurely for money for you? And at the end, she says there's a lot of byproducts that come from these animals. Are we really going to go down the line of saying, if we get byproducts from them, it's justified to mass breed, exploit, and murder them? Would we ever accept this reasoning in the case of humans? Oh, I know we're murdering these humans and violating their rights, or I know we're violating these dogs' rights or these cats' rights, but you know, we're getting a lot of byproducts from their exploitation and murder and commodification. So it's all good, bro. It's just, it's straight. No worries. Like, no, we would never accept that reasoning. So why would we accept it in this case? All right, guys, that's all I can really stomach with this animal farmer. At a certain point, you just lose patience. It's really all the same thing over and over and over. So if you guys support my work and want to get early access to it, you can click the link in the pinned comment and support me on Patreon. And if you don't know, I do have a book going over most, if not all, of the anti-vegan arguments you're going to hear online. If you want to get that as well, that'll be linked in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dude.
Fuck off, I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude,